The all-terrain walkers are armored fighting vehicles from the Star Wars universe that traverse the landscape on mechanical legs. They are used by the Old Republic, the Galactic Empire, and the First Order for ground assault, reconnaissance, or transport. This animation will only focus on the 4- to 6-legged variants. The little-known Manka Class armored transport, also referred to as an ATTE, served as a type of armored walker utilized by both the Republic and the reconstituted Sith Empire throughout the Great Galactic War, the Cold War, and Galactic War. 2 smaller turrets were located on the back of the hull, providing supporting fire while troops were being deployed or withdrawn. For transport purposes, the entire rear hull could be lowered, revealing a telescoping ramp that allowed access to the transport compartment. Operating as a vital component of the Republic's armored vehicle fleet, the Manka Class armored transport played a significant role in battles waged across the galaxy, notably during the Separatist War. Positioned on each side of the walker were 2 ball-mounted twin cannons, affording it defensive coverage on both port and starboard sides. The Manka Class armored transport was engineered to operate as a 4-legged walker, with a core body capable of accommodating up to 16 soldiers, and encased in a durable durasteel armor that allowed it to convey ground forces into hazardous zones beyond the reach of shuttles. Positioned atop a short neck was an armored cockpit that offered flexibility to swivel and aims at targets via its small, fortified windows, equipped with scopes, and containing the primary pair of blaster cannons. The pilot sat in a forward compartment of the cockpit, while a gunner sat next to him to operate the cannons. The Manka Class is about 23 meters or 75 feet in length, and about 7.5 meters or 25 feet in height, with a maximum speed of 52 kilometers per hour or 32 miles per hour. The All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer or ATAE was a multipurpose military ground walker used by the Galactic Republic during the Clone Wars. Wading through the savage din of battle, the walker's 6-legged stance allows it to cross crevices and climb otherwise impassably rugged slopes. The walker was a multi-purpose assault vehicle capable of tasks ranging from the transportation of clone trooper platoons around the battlefield to full-scale attacks upon enemy installations. Its most powerful weapon was a single mass driver cannon located on the vehicle's dorsal surface, which gave the walker the purpose of a mobile artillery vehicle as well as a tank. The pilot sat in a forward compartment, while a gunner sat exposed atop the walker to operate the mass driver cannon. The pilot, who was normally the ATTE commander, worked the 6 legs of the walker, while a spotter who sat above the pilot utilized several sensor stations to ascertain the locations of hostile units and primary objectives. Next to them were 2 forward gunners who controlled the turret-mounted laser cannons. On the midsection of the walker were where the armor and weapons were stored. These are connected by a flexible concertina section which also houses the walker's power generators. It carries 2 squads of clone troopers into battle, with seating split between the front and rear sections of the walker. 7 specially trained crew members were needed in order for the vehicle to function properly. The walker measured 22 meters or 72 feet in length and 5 meters or 16 feet in height, and has a maximum speed of 60 kilometers per hour or 37 miles per hour. Because its legs were low to the ground, the walker had a relatively low top speed, but it also enjoyed greater stability. 6 turret-mounted laser cannons, 4 on the front of the hull and 2 in the rear, defended against enemy infantry. The payloads of the gun could range from burrowing bunker busters to heat-seeking projectiles to sonic charges. Whilst its range was considerable, it had a comparatively slow rate of fire and variable accuracy. To transport the walkers, the Republic used a low-altitude assault transport or carrier cargo gunship to the battlefront. In years to come, the success of the all-terrain tactical enforcer will lead to heavier designs, such as the towering all-terrain armored transport. The vehicle performed most admirably in support roles that involved providing immediate cover fire for battalions of soldiers. They were often deployed in large numbers to overwhelm the enemy through sheer volume of firepower. The all-terrain armored transport walker, also known as the Imperial Walker, was a major part of the Galactic Empire's motor pool and was designed and manufactured by the Kawut drive yards. These monstrous behemoths are shielded with heavy armor cladding, rendering them impervious to all but the most powerful turbolaser weaponry. The Walker's armor deflects or absorbs blaster bolts from ordinary turrets and cannons with ease. A powerful reactor generates the necessary energy to mobilize this formidable war machine. Several cannons are mounted in the movable cockpit, discharging lethal firepower at helpless enemies below, causing widespread destruction that the mighty footpads then trample over. Carrying a vast amount of firepower and being heavily armored, the Walkers were arguably the most feared and effective land vehicle in the Imperial Army, and enjoyed a long lifespan, from the Clone Wars to the Second Imperial Civil War, over 150 years later. It was the successor of the all-terrain tactical enforcer that also saw use during the Clone Wars, although it constituted a far more imposing example of Walker technology. Serving as the head of the mechanical Walker was a movable command section containing the command cockpit, with room for the commander, pilot, and gunner. The ATAT formidable offensive capabilities were supplied by dual, chin-mounted fire-linked heavy laser cannons for slower, more cumbersome targets and two fire-linked medium repeating blasters mounted on each side of the head designed for lighter, agile targets. Typically, the troops section of the Walker could accommodate a maximum of 40 soldiers, who were usually made up of Imperial stormtroopers or Imperial land assault troopers. Additionally, the Walker was equipped with a backpack charger and a troop bench, which were used to recharge and prepare the troopers for battle. The Walker's colossal drive motors were connected to a fuel cell, energizer rods, and fuel pump located at the aft end, which provided the power necessary to move the massive vehicle, and below the equipment was the speeder bike garage. The ATAT also included atmospheric exchangers and a filtration unit to regulate the interior living conditions. Equipped on the main body were also a high-speed cable winch, deployment harness, and a deployment platform to disembark troops off the Walker. The command section housed all of the ATAT weapon systems, as well as holographic targeting systems allowing the gunners a 360-degree view of their position. To load and disembark troops, the Walker kneels by bending its tri-jointed legs and lowering its body to within 3 meters of the ground. The Imperial Walker was a behemoth of a war machine, standing at a height of 23 meters or 75 feet and 26 meters or 85 feet in length, with a maximum speed of 60 kilometers per hour, which translates to about 37 miles per hour. In this rather odd deployment layout, the Walker unloaded its speeder bike by kneeling 3 meters above ground level until the boarding ramp could extend outward. To transport the Walkers, the Galactic Empire used the Y-85 Titan dropship, which could accommodate up to 4 Imperial Walkers. These monstrous behemoths are shielded with heavy armor cladding, rendering them impervious to all but the most powerful turbo laser weaponry. The Walker's armor deflects or absorbs blaster bolts from ordinary turrets and cannons with ease. The all-terrain Mega Caliber 6 or ATM-6 brings devastating firepower, the state-of-the-art armor forged in secret facilities in the unknown regions. It is a menacing symbol of an emboldened First Order finally unleashed to wreak havoc on the galaxy that rejected its Imperial predecessors. Intended to make siege warfare simple and short, the M6 is powerful enough to punch through shields rated to deflect bombardment from orbit. The ATM-6 was made of ultra-dense matrixes composite armor and was manufactured by the Kawat-Entrala Drive Yard, the same company that created the original Imperial Walker. The First Order researcher solved the challenge of how to incorporate the Mega Caliber 6 cannon into a Walker frame by reinforcing the forward leg armor and adding a larger footpad, similar to the ATAT design. Installed next to the Mega Caliber 6 cannon is the recoil shock absorber with the heat exhaust. Several massive fuel cell canisters are exposed on the back while the M6 legs were equipped with a shock absorber, a device designed to absorb and damp shock impulses. The legs were modified to bear increased weight and to provide the stability needed to brace the craft against the cannon's massive recoil. The ATM-6 is fundamentally a platform for the Mega Caliber 6 turbolaser cannon, which dominates the Walker's massive fuselage with 2 heavy fire-linked dual laser cannons and 2 medium anti-ship laser cannons mounted on the head. Inside the head of the ATM-6 are the target computer, target sensor, 2 gunners, and 1 vehicle commander. Bringing the destructive power of a battleship for ground engagements requires a dedicated power plant for the turbo laser and a fusion reactor to power the M6. The legs were modified to bear increased weight and to provide the stability needed to brace the craft against the cannon's massive recoil. The vehicle's knuckle-walking locomotion has another advantage. It gives the walker the aspect of a giant simian predator, making an already intimidating weapon even more fearsome to enemy eyes. The hydraulic piston and the terrain sensors computer on the leg and feet give precise information about the terrain, and allow the walker to move the field more efficiently. The walker is about 41 meters or 134 feet in length, and is about 36 meters or 118 feet in height, and can move at a maximum speed of 60 kilometers per hour, similar to the Imperial Walker. In the years following the collapse of the Galactic Empire, and the destruction of its industrial capabilities by the New Republic, the ATM-6 was the first-order successor to the original Imperial Walker. In my opinion, the walkers have a visually impressive and intimidating presence on screen, but they are not practical for use in battle. Both the ATAT and ATM-6 lack turrets to defend against attacks from behind and have a high center of gravity, making them susceptible to being tipped over. The most vulnerable part of the walker was its flexible neck, which was open to lighter blaster barrages. If punctured, it can lead to a reactor breach. Additionally, deploying troops and vehicles from these platforms is overly complicated, and leaves them vulnerable to enemy fire during deployment. And based on the cross-section drawing, none of these walkers have any restrooms or refreshers for the troop to use. These design flaws made the walkers impractical and gives you the idea that these were designed for fear and intimidation, and not really for war. The ATTE is the overall best-designed walker in the Star Wars universe. Specifically, in comparison to the AT-AT and M6, the ATTE is harder to hit, more stable, and possesses greater all-around weapons coverage. So, what are your thoughts on the walkers, and which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and I see you guys next time.